Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends and partners of the Jacobs Foundation. I'm delighted to meet you virtually in these challenging times of the global pandemic, and I hope that you are all well and in good health. This year has been very demanding for all of us, with tremendous risks and uncertainties, but also great opportunities, solidarity, and innovation. The global economy has suffered severely and will need the coming months and years to recover. And the same is true for global education. 2020 is the year that saw the largest disruption in education in history. At its peak, it forced almost 1.6 billion students out of their classrooms in more than 190 countries. That represents more than 90% of the world's student population. In some countries, schools are open again, but in others, they remained closed. COVID-19 has dramatically increased learning inequalities across the globe, and so there is an urgent need worldwide for a continuity of learning at an unprecedented scale. The Jacobs Foundation has many years of experience in promoting learning and child and youth development. In fact, learning is at the core of our 2030 strategy. Over the next 10 years, we will support learning systems in various contexts, promoting evidence-based decision-making in public policy and corporate practices. We want to improve our society in the face of change and uncertainty, and we want all children to receive the relevant learning opportunities they need in order to develop their full potential. To reach our goals, we rely on strong partnerships with governments, industries, schools, and social purpose organizations. We want to work with and support those who really make a difference and deliver best practice. And we also want to honor and celebrate them. And this is why this year, for the first time, we will bestow 3 Klaus J. Jacobs Best Practice Prizes for exceptional commitment and innovative solutions in the field of learning and education. All 3 awardees have also demonstrated exceptional dedication in response to the COVID-19 situation. Now let's meet our awardees and learn more about them, starting with Dybuster.
The son of my professor struggled with reading and writing. So already as a student I embarked on that mission of making learning of basic cultural techniques such as reading and writing and basic math skills easier for kids. And now, after 15 years of doing that, we still combine the artificial intelligence, so our computer science background, with neuroscience and pedagogical knowledge to produce and develop learning applications with a high efficacy, which have been proven to be efficient in scientific studies and which have been used by more than 100,000 students in everyday practice.
But Dybuster is going to be really useful to help you hear the sound of the word and remember how to spell it.
Our first application is Dybuster Orthograph to train orthography. And one main difficulty that we address is that children have to be able to convert the spoken word into a letter combination W-O-R-D. And that mapping of the spoken language to the written language is supported in orthograph through colors, shapes, structures, tones, etc.
Main shock.
Well done. You learned everything.
Our second application is Calcularis to train basic math skills. And what we especially train is number processing, so understanding that this represents the quantity of 3 and can be called 3 and is also smaller than 5 but larger than 1.
You got exactly the right.
Behind the playful interface there is what we call a student model that understands what the student knows and what the student doesn't know. And thanks to artificial intelligence, it can increase the difficulty of tasks, it can reduce them. It can also include support games, which explain an activity differently than what we call our main games. So the intelligence has the capability to adapt to each student.
Epicenter.
The advantage of using a digital tool, especially in this field of basic cultural techniques, is that children can train on their own and don't depend on the availability of an educator. And you can also gamify learning, and that's really motivating for kids, that they get immediate awards and that they can also work towards a goal in the reward system. So for example, in our system, they get diamonds and stars, and with those they can buy attractions in an amusement park. But the system is tell that they only gain those attractions maybe once a week, so they also have that goal to keep on working. The impact of our applications is really outstanding because we have shown that even kids with difficulties such as dyslexia and dyscalculia profit from using our tools. And those are the children that usually are kind of left behind. And we're really capable of also dragging them along and enabling them to perform at their full capacity.
This is the unusual English spelling here, yeah. 4, is it really 4? Look again.
It's important for us that the learning of the kids is really incorporated into the general instruction that the educators provide. So they're really strong and powerful coaching tools, as we call them, which allow the teachers to see where the kids have difficulties, how they progress, or just answer the question, did they train at all? So that they can really include the learning of the digital tools in their general teaching strategies.
So, do you have any idea why this happens?
In a broader picture, digital learning tools will really be important for the future of learning, but I think we have to be careful that we really say or distinguish between what's meaningful to do digitally and what's just to do it digitally because you can. I think digital tools really have to have an added value, like our applications that do multisensory learning.
Almost there.
In times of COVID, especially when the lockdown started, we saw that many schools jumped digital tools and they just had to go digital from now to tomorrow. And they managed to acquire teaching tools, but they then struggled to actually instruct the kids on how to use them, especially younger kids. It was, in our experience, good for third graders, fourth graders, maybe also to do video calls, but especially younger children, it was really difficult for the schools to instruct them on what to do. And that instruction on what they have to do can be dramatically simplified if the tools themselves know what they should do. So with the intelligence that we offer, it's a lot easier for teachers to instruct the kids to start working. And once they start working, the tools take them through the learning process automatically and individually. And that makes digital instruction a lot easier.
The Jacobs Foundation Board of Trustees recognize your exceptional efforts to promote learning abilities of dyslexic and dyscalculic children by providing software solutions based on artificial intelligence and neuroscience. The board also considered your response to COVID-19 related challenges. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to accept this prize on behalf of Dybuster and the entire team here. And I would also like to thank all the educators who put so much effort every day into instructing their children. It's a great privilege to accept this award. It will allow us to continue to develop our products and applications further to make them more inclusive and to make them more available to children also in areas with less resources.
The recent pandemic has shown very clearly that there is not a single approach to learning that fits all children. Already before the crisis, many educational settings have failed to embrace individual differences and help children to thrive. So how can learning for large numbers of students be organized while at the same time responding to their diverse individual needs. We believe that insights gained through research are particularly important in this context. And our awardee, Peace, has been truly successful in applying cutting-edge research findings in developing their innovative teaching and learning models, before and notably also during the crisis.
P stands for Promoting Equality in African Schools, and we exist to expand access to quality secondary education in rural, hard-to-reach areas. There is a severe shortage of secondary schools in sub-Saharan Africa, and only 1 in 3 adolescents are going on to secondary education after they finish primary school. At the secondary level, both government schools and private schools are fee-paying, and they tend to be congregated around urban areas, and that means it's children from the poorest families and those in hard-to-reach areas that tend to be the most disadvantaged. For the students who do make it to secondary school, the quality of the education they receive is often poor, so understandably, dropout rates are high. Peas builds and operates secondary schools. We build them in hard-to-reach rural locations, and they serve students who would otherwise struggle to access a secondary education. We have 32 secondary schools in Uganda and Zambia, serving over 16,000 students every year. On the quality side, Peas schools deliver innovative school management and pedagogical practices to drive student learning outcomes. And alongside academics, the schools provide a rich co-curricular suite of activities to support students with transitioning to life after school, which have a strong focus on entrepreneurship, livelihoods, and skills. It is more difficult for girls to attend secondary school than boys because when resources are scarce, families are often faced with the hard decision to choose between educating their boys and their girls. And for cultural and economic reasons, families often choose education for their boys and marriage for their daughters. At Peas, we provide a package of interventions to support girls to enrol and achieve at school. This package addresses challenges ranging from lack of appropriate sanitary materials to dangers encountered on the journey to school. And a really important part of it is the training that we provide for our senior women teachers who act as role model, cheerleader, and safety net for our girls. Peas schools are self-sustaining through very low school fees, school-based income generation activities, and in some cases, a per-pupil grant from the local government. It's this financial model, combined with our investment in great people to drive change, that means that our schools will be serving their communities for generations to come. The Peas approach is to build and run exemplary secondary schools as a platform for wider systemic change. By running our own schools, we can innovate, build evidence, and generate best practices to share more widely. In Zambia, we're partnering with the government to test a new school financing model, which would allow the government to expand access to quality secondary education more cost efficiently. During periods of prolonged school closure, instances of child marriage, child abuse, and child labour increase. Evidence shows that the children from the poorest families are the most at risk of permanent school dropout. So when Peas schools closed in March due to COVID-19, it was imperative for us to completely redesign our approach to ensure that our students were safe and learning in their communities. The vast majority of Peas students do not have access to electricity, television sets, or internet at home. So we've developed our own content, which has been delivered by our teachers through at-home study packs, basic mobile phones, and over the radio during school closure. P's radio content has been endorsed by our government partners in Uganda and Zambia and has been broadcast far beyond the P's communities. We have evaluated our COVID programming, and it's really clear that parents and caregivers have particularly appreciated the regular phone calls from teachers, and it's given them more visibility on their children's learning than before. Maintaining this closer connection with families is going to be something that we continue once schools reopen.
The Jacobs Foundation Board of Trustees recognized your exceptional efforts to drive educational quality through efficient school management and to operate low-cost secondary schools for the most marginalized students in Uganda and Zambia. The board also considered your response to COVID-19 related challenges. Congratulations.
Thank you. It is a huge honour to receive the Jacobs Foundation Best Practice Prize on behalf of P's. We have ambitious plans to scale our network of schools and our government partnerships, and this award will certainly help us to do that.
Even before COVID-19, the world was already facing a learning crisis, with more than 50% of children in low and middle income countries unable to read by age 10. School closures have widened that learning inequality and hurt vulnerable children disproportionately. But the pandemic also offers an unprecedented opportunity to build more resilient education systems for the future. Innovative partnerships among relevant players like governments, schools, and industry have the capacity to aggregate resources and deliver more effective remote learning solutions. Our third awardee, Ubongo, has a track record in offering free multimedia entertainment in numerous African languages at a cost-effective manner. This has been particularly relevant in times of lockdown.
So we have two main shows, Ubongo Kids and Akili and Me. Akili and Me is a preschool program that helps teach kids ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, early literacy, numeracy, social emotional learning, and language skills.
Time to count, time to count. Look at the radios, let's count the radios. 1, 2, 3.
Our primary school program, Ubongo Kids, teaches kids STEM subjects, so that's science, technology, engineering, and math, as well as critical life skills.
Can travel through our bodies too.
So watching both of these programs, Akili and Me and Ubongo Kids, leads to significant learning outcomes for kids, both in their cognitive skills like numeracy and literacy, and also in social emotional learning and even health knowledge.
The mosquito army is closing in. We must protect ourselves throughout the night. Don't look so worried. I know we can win if we work together to do it right. We have all the tools that we need. Bednet screens and residual sprays. We will stop malaria before it starts and drive the mosquito army away.
The mosquitoes are coming.
Let me hear you shout.
The mosquitoes are coming.
Get your bed nets out.
Over 17 million kids learn with us each month, either through radio or TV, and there is a difference in the academic performance of kids who have had access to watching this. But we see it as really going beyond there, not just being, say these improvements in math or in literacy skills, but also how there's knock-on multiplier and generational effects. So we're really excited to keep kind of tracking the effects of our programming over a year and think about what is the possibility of what we can achieve if a generation of kids grows up together watching programs that make learning fun and cool, that help them build an educational foundation, and also really inspire them to use their learning for change in their communities. I'm one of those people who kind of cares about every issue, be it inequality or the environment, poverty alleviation, but when I look at all these issues, what I see is they're all very closely tied to education. And if we can address education, then we can really empower and equip millions of more people to be able to go out and do something about these different issues. So I really do feel that what we're doing here at Ubongo is helping to equip the change makers of tomorrow.
Oh, Bush baby, we can learn.
With the COVID-19 pandemic, over 1 billion kids around the world have had their education disrupted or affected. I mean, it's just a massive crisis for the education sector. We've been trying to do everything we can to support during this time. And while we recognize that, some cartoons and radio programs are never going to replace what kids get in school with their teachers, what we've been able to do is to help fill the gap, help keep kids learning and, very importantly, smiling in the home while their schools are closed, and really engage parents, caregivers, and other people in the home to understand how they can support kids' learning.
Maybe we can give him some help.
Fewer than 40% of families in sub-Saharan Africa have internet access, and even most of those who do have very limited data and access to resources for learning online. So what we've done is we've taken a very broad approach to distributing our content as widely as possible, getting more show times, making sure it's available, be it on local radio, national radio, TV, online, giving USB sticks to partners, really just trying to make it ubiquitous and very easy to access this content in different local languages.
Hey there, friends! I know you've probably been hearing a lot about this new coronavirus.
In addition to that, we've created some more specific content for families in the situations they've been in, especially during lockdown, knowing that older siblings, younger siblings, parents, sometimes grandparents are all in the home in the room together. We've created programs now to kind of facilitate group learning and learning through play, where everyone in the family can get involved and support each other in these fun, playful learning games.
Or cough on your hands.
Lastly, what we've done is we've also created health content, as well as other topics like information literacy. How do we judge and trust information that's shared with us, and what should we think about before we share it on?
I'm telling you, it's not easy to know what you should believe, but start by asking yourself these questions, cause it can help.
Who did the information come from? Who? Think about it. Do we trust them? Why did they write it? Why?
Now, one of the kind of exciting silver linings coming out of this is that parents are actually getting more involved in their children's education. And this isn't something that we want to stop once kids go back to school. We see this as a real opportunity to engage parents, engage other caregivers and older siblings, and get them more involved in education, thinking about education holistically. And then we want to continue that, and we're going to use media to help support that even as kids go back into school.
The Jacobs Foundation Board of Trustees recognized your exceptional efforts to provide localized educational cartoons to children in Africa. And the board also considered your response to COVID-19 related challenges. Congratulations.
We at Ubongo are so honored and excited to have been awarded the Best Practice Prize, and we're really thrilled about what we think can come from this. Not just the prize itself, but connecting more with the broader community of researchers and educators within the network to learn from what they're doing and explore how we can put great research into practice in what we do. And make sure that we don't leave kids behind, we have inclusive education, and we create content that brings them joy, a love of learning, and effective learning for kids across Africa.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends and partners of the Jacobs Foundation, It was a great honor for me to present you the recipients of this year's Klaus J. Jacobs Best Practice Prizes, if only virtually. Our decision not to host the prize ceremony this year came with a very heavy heart. The Klaus J. Jacobs Awards are very important for the foundation, and they are my most preferred way to celebrate the work of outstanding researchers and organizations advancing child and youth development across the globe. So I hope that we will be able to celebrate together again next year. Thank you for being with us today, and please stay safe.